Let's get started. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Alenka, and I'm on a mission to help ambitious entrepreneurs leverage social media to achieve their goals. And I use the words ambitious entrepreneurs very vaguely. It's for me, it's like anyone who has a passion, who has a goal, who has a mission, who has a purpose, and who's really trying to change the world. For me, is ambitious and is entrepreneurial, because in all your charities, in your organizations, you really need to have the entrepreneurial spirit. In a way, you have to get the most out of all the limited resources, and you always have some incredible purpose, you always have some incredible mission that really helps to change the world for a better. So that's where these sessions are designed to really help you achieve that with whatever resources you have available. So, most importantly, what we're going to cover today, we will look at a simple 7-step social media content planning framework. We will look at how you can, use the whole digital marketing system in a way very integrated, looking at social media, obviously content, email, web, video, how it all kind of fits together. And we will look at the practical steps to plan, produce, and promote your content for the biggest impact. So the question is, if you can quickly type into the chat box for me so I have an idea. Do you have a social media content plan in place? No matter how vague or specific, how detailed, do you have something that you would call a social media content plan? If you can, just say yes, maybe a little bit in the comments so I can have a look, an idea. A vague one, okay, at least something that's awesome, Lorna. Anything is better. Nope, nope, nope. Exactly. This is all about today. You're absolutely right, Jeff. This is what I'm hoping to teach you today. And I always say that I'm a spontaneous person if I've planned to be spontaneous. And the point is that if you have a content plan, that doesn't mean that you're restricted. It doesn't mean that you can create content in the moment, go with the flow, be reflective and reactive to what's happening in the situation, the world. Because yes, there's lots of things happening in the social media world, in the culture, in our society, the politics that you might want to reflect in your content. But it means that if you have a framework, if you have a plan, if you have a structure, you can be a lot more efficient, you can be a lot more productive, you can get a lot more done, which means get better results. But I find it personally, if I have a framework, if I have a plan, I can then within the plan to be a lot more creative. I know the purpose, I know what I'm trying to achieve, and then I can just let my creativity go wild and implement it and have fun and experiment with posts. Because no matter what I'm going to teach you and no matter what you've ever heard about social media marketing, yes, there are certain best practices and there are certain principles that you can follow. And that will definitely help you to get, better. But ultimately, social media or marketing is a lot more about experimentation. It's about really knowing yourself, knowing your organization, and knowing your audience, and then having fun, trying different things and watching what's working and do more of what works. So the whole point is I don't want you to jump straight into execution, even though it's very tempting. Social media is fast paced, it's immediate results. I want you to have the moment today and after the session today to sit down and think and plan and create your own roadmap, because that means that then you will really focus and you will avoid wasting time on random tactics and doing too much, spreading yourself too thinly without actually having clear understanding of how these dots are connecting and how you can really make the most impact with all the resources that you have. So the point is, I want you to connect the dots. I want you to not only think about social media today, but think a little better. How does social media then connects to your website, connects to your email? How the content, be it blog posts, online training, videos on YouTube, podcasts, media appearances, if you have some press conference, if you have some press release, if you have a feature, if you've been interviewed at any media, any kind of marketing, if you have a physical leaflet, if you have a physical event, if you use any kind of magazine advertising, how can you make sure that everything that you do is connected, that there is an intersection of all of them. One of the slides that is missing, I just realized that maybe I should have added there for explanation. It's the explanation that there are 3 different types of content that kind of exist in the world of marketing. And the one we will be talking today about mainly is the content that you own. It's like the owned content. It's the things that you create, which means that you own it. But then there's also paid content. That's the one where you actually pay for advertising, be it Facebook ads, Google ads. So it is still yours, but the exposure that you're getting is paid for. There's literal physical budget that needs to be invested. And then there is earned media, which is the one that you have earned through someone else, which is PR comes in, media coverage comes in, guest blogging, guest posting, anything where someone else allows you to promote your content or creates content about you and promotes you this way. And it's interesting to think about really these 3 types of content, that you have full control of what it's your own content, what you create. You have full control of the paid content, but also you can do a lot more in terms of outreach and planning of how you can earn more content and how you can learn more exposure through working with someone else. So let's get started with the 7 steps to badass content marketing plan. And we will go through these 7 steps a little bit more in depth in today's session. We will be starting with quick audit and SWOT analysis, because I always think it's so important to really know where you are right now. And even though you said that you don't have a content plan just yet, I'm sure that you've all been active on social media in one capacity or the other. You've been producing content. So you already have some data and you already have something that you can actually look back at and analyze past results, analyze where your strengths really are, and maybe where you see some opportunities coming your way, that you see that there is a gap in the market, or you know that you have certain strengths that you can really leverage. You have new person on board and team. Obviously, there might be a new conversation happening in the world that's very relevant to who you are, what you do. Maybe lots of new opportunities, but also some threats that you want to make sure to mitigate them. The second point we will be looking is at your audience, really understanding who your, I call it ideal customers, but it's the community, but not only the community, the people that you serve, but you might want to use social media to find more volunteers, to find more trustees, to get more sponsorship funding, to get just the general public to be more aware. So having a clear idea what is the customer journey, what is the customer profile, what is the person profile that you're trying to talk to, who would be the people, what would be their values, to really connect with you and see who you are, what you do, and how they can again help you reach even more people. And it wouldn't be a strategy without having some goals and some KPIs, because we need to know what do you really want to achieve and how you will measure the results and how you actually find out if what you're doing is working and achieving the goals that you want. And from there, we'll go into the more, I hope, more fun things. We'll go into planning. I always include a 12-month plan. So we'll look at the 12 months ahead, and we'll look at some events and milestones and how do you really can come up with some content topics and themes and really get as far ahead as you can. So then on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, you're not overwhelmed. You really know what's happening each day, each week, and what you need to do to, again, get to those goals that you've outlined for yourself. We'll have a little bit of fun with ideation and creation, look at different approaches to brainstorm content ideas and define your content themes and topics, and how you then are going to turn your ideas into reality and how you're going to create. And then we'll kind of fit it all together into, okay, now you have some content that you know how to going to create it. So we're going to look at promotion and repurposing, kind of a publishing plan for each quarter, repurposing and promo process. Sounds like a lot, but we have an hour for it. There will be a lot that I will cover, but also, You can always go back to the recording, pick each section that you really wanted to focus on, rewatch it, and as I said, reach out to me if you have specific questions. So for the audit and SWOT, you really want to have a look at your marketing results for at least the past 12 months. But if your organization is newer, or if your marketing is a little newer, any length of data that you have a look at your website, your traffic, your sources, your bounce rate, your time outside. You want to have a full picture of what's happening with your marketing, what's happening with the content, and how these things really interact with each other. And on website, usually you will have Google Analytics installed. If don't, please do install Google Analytics. In past, I think we had a webinar about Google Analytics, which should be found at the Cambridge Online website. If you have any questions about that, again, just get in touch with me. You want to have a look at your content, more specifically, how frequently do you publish new blog posts or newsletter? What is the readership like? What is the popularity? What are the comments? If it's video, what are the video views? If it's a podcast, what are the downloads? In terms of new email, if you have an email, what is your newsletter frequency? What will be the open rate, click-through rate? How healthy is your list? How quickly is it growing? You want to obviously audit your social media to look at, which platforms are you currently active, or which platforms do you have alive that people can find you on? Are you active on all of them? Or which ones are you considering to use a little bit more, a little bit less? This question is, or the answers to these questions you will find in the previous training, which I mentioned, because in the introduction to social media, we really talked about how do you find out the right platform for you? How do you decide, where to focus your energy? I always recommend to have one or two priority platforms, in not trying to be everywhere, but have really dedicated strategy for one or two platforms, and then kind of low-key maintenance strategy for the rest. So that's where you then want to do the audit and see which platforms are performing the best right now, and the platforms that you actually enjoy the most right now, to focus on those, and then dig a deeper into what comments and mentions, direct messages, shares, link clicks, video views, numbers of followers and connections you have there, to really get a perspective of how each platform is performing. And if you collect any kind of leads, again, be it for new volunteers, if you're recruiting, if it's for getting some funding in some crowdfunding campaigns, if it's simply people joining the landing pages, or if you have any kind of an online shop, digital product, if you're selling anything in any capacity, then obviously sources of your inquiries, what is the conversion rate, what is the buying cycle? Because there's lots of things that you can really get deeper into. But just having a quick overview of where you are right now will really help you that when we're talking about setting up goals. Because if you want to set up SMART goals, if you want to set up achievable, realistic, but also motivating goals, then you need to know where are you right now, and knowing if the resources that you have will allow you to reach your goals, and how far the goals are from where you stand right now. But if you don't know where you are, you really don't know what will need to happen to help you to get and achieve those goals. And ultimately, with the SWOT analysis over there, you want to figure out what are your strengths. And that's one of the things that I think my approach to marketing or social media might be different to other people out there, because you will see lots of people say you have to do video, you have to do podcast. This is the thing that really works now. LinkedIn is the right place to be. Instagram is the right place to be. Slideshows or reels or TikToks are the cool thing right now. And yes, they're all right. They're all correct. But ultimately, the best marketing that you can produce is the one that you will enjoy producing, is the one that will play into your strength. So someone is great in storytelling, in copy, in just writing. Someone is great in video and just talking. Someone is great at talking, but is not comfortable on camera. So podcasting or interview, someone is great in the banter with someone else in conversation. So really consider what your strengths within your organization, with your team, within people involved in social, in content. What are the strengths that you have? How can you play into your strengths? And that should come as a priority when deciding what type of content are you going to be creating, how you're going to use all those channels available to you in a strategic, meaningful way. But definitely there is, I always say, don't follow all the advice that people say you should be doing this and you should be doing that and you need to be there, because it might work for them. And there will be incredible case studies of someone doing one particular thing that really worked for them. But it might be a real struggle for you. It might be something that you don't feel okay or comfortable or excited about. And it will show. The whole point of playing into your strengths is that people will be able to say if what you do is coming from a place of joy, from a place of excitement, place of comfort, or if it's coming from because you have to, because you feel like this is what you should be doing. But one thing to consider, of course, is who are the people that you're speaking to? Because ultimately, social media marketing or marketing, communication in general, it's not about you. And the point is that, yes, of course, this is about you. That's why we're here, helping you to achieve what you want to achieve. But you are in an organization with a purpose, serving someone, and you're reaching someone with a message because you want to help, you want to improve, you want to make people's lives better. And it's important with content on your especially social media and stuff to think, yes, there is a message that I want to get across, but what is it in for them? What am I actually solving for them? It's not about you, it's always about them. And just to kind of picture a better what I mean is content marketing is a marketing kind of approach that, yes, you're creating and distributing some content, but the definition that it's valuable, it's relevant, and it's consistent, that actually is designed to attract and kind of acquire or engage a clearly defined person or group of people with the objective of either driving some sales and profits or simply getting the people to work with you to allow you to then help them and improve their lives. This is a common kind of like opening content marketing definition that definitely helps to clarify of why are you actually doing what you're doing with your content. And it's important to remember that kind of content marketing is in a way permission based. It's different from social media, it's different from classical traditional marketing in TV or radio, where it always was a little more push. It was just pushed onto you. It was one-way communication. Where content marketing, with be it email marketing, social media marketing, it's a permission-based marketing. Our customers, our community, our audience, they are giving us a permission to enter their space, to enter their inboxes or their social media channels, because it's important to remember that on social media, people don't go to social media to see ads, to be sold to. They simply go there to be entertained, educated, engaged, to have fun, to learn. But no one goes there to be like, I want someone to push a message on me, to push a lesson onto me, to push an ad to me. So it's something that we want to be freely inviting into our lives, and we want something that we want to then share with others and really feel like it has enriched our lives. So get obsessed with your customers, or get obsessed with the people that you want to reach, that you want to make an impact on with your marketing, with your content. And ask yourself these questions and try to get as clear answers as you can. Like, who are they in terms of, obviously, the demographic, if there are any specifics in terms of the age or the gender or location of people that you are trying to attract, but also in terms of who are they as human beings, how will they behave, what will be their interests, what will be their values, what will be their hobbies, and how can you really bring the values and the purpose that you have in alignment to the purpose that they have. And all these ideas, all these informations will help you to then get much clearer on where do they hang out, like which social media platforms will be the right ones for you to reach them. What are their challenges, which I'm pretty sure you are super clear on, the problem, the pain, the need that you're helping solve, and how you can do that with your content. Obviously, there's one thing that you can do one-to-one in group settings, like directly working with them, but how can you really help them and enrich their lives through your online presence? And what is the journey? What is the buyer consumer journey from people not being necessarily aware of their pains and problems to then being aware that there is a challenge, to then being aware that there is a solution and that you're one of those solutions, to then have a time to consider the pros and cons and the benefits and the features and the way of how you could be working with them or how they could be working with you, get help from you, to then it's actually like, how do they, let's say, sign up, how do they buy, how do they get in touch, how it works. Now, this is a very simplified kind of customer journey, 3-step follow-up, where you go from awareness through consideration through conversion. Often you will see another step, which is loyalty, which is how do you then engage people who have already purchased from you, who already worked with you, who are already part of your audience and community. How do you keep them interested, engaged, supported? And how do you allow them and empower them to help you earn more content? We talked about earlier, how do you allow people to then be advocates for you as well? And one interesting thing to pay attention with your content is people's emotions. Because no matter how much we want to believe that we're rational human beings and that we make decisions based on, rational, logical decision making, we are very much driven by our emotions. There are lots of subconscious things happening in our brains that, even though consciously through our rational brain, we think we're making decisions very logical and rational, ultimately our old brain, our kind of ancient brain, when all the fears and all the emotions are based, is a lot more dominant, a lot stronger. So in all our content consuming, buying decisions, there will be lots of emotions that play a role. And you can use that to really help your audience connect with your content in a much deeper way. And just to very simply explain how you could do that, it's in the initial awareness stages where people are becoming aware that they have a problem, that there is a challenge, and that there is a potential solution. They will be quite emotional. They will, obviously, if we're feeling certain pain or challenge, we have a need, there will be emotion. We will be a lot more aware of our emotions because we are having a certain pain and need, a problem that we need solving. But at the same time, we might not have as much attention available. We will be a little bit more scattered. So it will be kind of fast-paced content that will grab our attention. And one note on emotions, even though negative emotions definitely grab our attention faster, because we are designed to pay attention to potential dangers. So we will notice negative emotions and negative content much faster. From research, it shows that actually positive emotional messages are the ones who are much stronger indicator of then conversion and decision making, and really making people to take the action that we want them. So even though sometimes it is very tempting to create like darker and kind of negative posts that really highlight the pain, and there might be a space for that in a communication campaign, I would highly recommend really playing around and figuring out what positive emotions can you really try to evoke in people, because those are the ones that will definitely guide you further in terms of getting closer to working with these people and supporting them. When we get, or when people, our audience, our customers get into the conversion stage, or the consideration stage, which is the second, when they start considering, okay, I know there is a pain, I know there is a solution, there might be multiple solutions, they might be doing their research, looking at different charities, looking at different services, looking at different locations. They will become a little bit more rational here. We will do a logical research. We will consume a lot more content. And this is where a lot of how-to content, information about how we work, what are the benefits of working with us, how can you get in touch, how can we support you, how this works, how that works, all of the like even longer form videos, blog posts, all the content. People will then have longer attention, willing to dedicate to their research. They will start making pros and cons lists, not necessarily on a paper, but in their brain. They were unconsciously start making pros and cons lists to really figure out what is the best solution, where should I go to really get my problem solved. And then we will go to the conversion. We'll go, okay, we're making a decision, we're doing something, we're buying a product, we're signing up for a service, we're going through therapy, we're asking for help, whatever it is. And then we will believe that we're doing a rational decision, but there is so much science that says that we're actually following our gut feeling, we're following our instinct a lot more, that we're again allowing our emotional brain to make strong the decisions for us, that all our rational decisions will be strongly driven by our emotions. So again, paying attention to people's emotions and making these kind of conversion type of content a little bit more emotional, and again playing on the positive emotion, is something that really will help you then make it easier for the people to see how they can work with you and help them make the right decision of getting in touch and work with you. And you can see that I've already touched on different types of content or length of content that you can really be creating on each of these stages to really help the people to move through the process. In the awareness, it will be kind of more of an inspirational social media post, something with eye-catching visuals, kind of shorter clips, graphics, animation, something that's fast-paced, doesn't require much attention, but grabs us with an emotion. In consideration, we will be willing to dedicate more of our time and attention. So we will be looking at blog posts, videos, podcasts, signing up to newsletters and reading newsletters. If there is a space for white papers, ebooks, any kind of a longer form booklet, e-guide option, be it a webinar or be it an event, where we will try to collect as much information as we can. And then in conversion, it's more about getting the emotions again going to help our gut feeling to get the best decision for us. And that's where testimonials, case studies, if there is a price involved, or if there is different options involved, then obviously knowing all about that. It could be some kind of gated content, like a content that people need to go through a gate, like memberships, or any kind of a sign up where they then can get into your online course or online program. Or it can be a demonstration, it could be a free trial, it could be free consultation, something that gets them closer. And there is a lovely table that kind of shows you a little bit more about how this then could be put into a practical matrix. You can see two scales, you can see the rational to emotional and awareness to purchase. And you can see that there are different types of content that kind of you can use to be inspired and use in your content planning. You can create some content that will entertain them, that's emotional, but at the awareness stage, so fast-paced competitions, viral videos, quizzes, polls. You can use content that's inspiring, kind of inspiring the purchase, which is still emotional, but it's more dedicated, designed to really help people with a conversion. So it could be endorsements, reviews, community forums, when people feel the emotion of others. And of course, you want to have some educational content in your mix, which is quite rational, and it goes from the awareness to the conversion on the scale and on the in-depth, how much you go and how much detail you give to people. I will share this with you as I said, the slide, so you can have a proper look at that. And then there is a table for you to have a moment later on to think for yourself, okay, what kind of entertaining, inspiring, educational, convincing content can we create? What would this potentially look like for us in our organization? How can we create different types of content to really serve our community or with our content the best we can? And I already talked about the goals and KPIs, so I think there's not much else to add to it. It's very important just to be clear on what you want to achieve, where you are, and where you want to go, and understand how then the results, the metrics that you're measuring in terms of your content marketing, but also social media marketing and web marketing, how it all fits together and how we will measure the success. How can you then say, yes, our campaign has been successful. Yes, we're on the right trajectory towards being successful. There are a couple of kind of content marketing goals that you might be considering. Definitely awareness, kind of brand awareness or service awareness is an important goal for anyone. We will be looking for reach or impressions, and we will be looking for engagement, meaning comments, shares, DMs, likes, or reactions. We will be obviously considering the growth of our accounts, meaning likes and followers and connections, but it's great that our accounts are growing, but with social media, you don't always need to see your accounts growing and have increased brand awareness, because lots of platforms use tools like hashtags and retweet and shares that allow you and your brand and your content to be exposed and again kind of earn more of the reach through other people engaging with your content, which might not necessarily be reflected in the numbers of followers. But yes, it's that numbers of followers, it's a metric that we will always be discussing, but I wanted to say it's more of a vanity metric, and metrics like reach, impressions, engagement are a lot more better indicators of how the brand awareness is going. In consideration, as a goal, you want to be measuring your website traffic and looking at the different sources of where this traffic is coming from. You want to be measuring kind of the consumption, which is quite interesting metric in terms of video completions, not only the video views, but potentially if you have videos or podcasts, how many people have actually finished watching, which platforms like YouTube or even social media can tell you when you look how many people have finished watching your content. On website, you can get to this understanding as well if you look at the time spent on site on each page, and you have a look and you have an understanding of what would the average reading speed be. So let's say you have a page that says that usual reading time would be 5 minutes. So if you have people spending 30 seconds on there, you know they're not completing it. If you have people spending 3, 5, 7 minutes, you know that people are spending the time reading it. If you have people spending longer, maybe they're getting a little lost, they're unsure what to do next, or maybe there needs to be a different action aligned so people can quickly move to where they need to be. And also, if you're again collecting any kind of leads, if you're growing your mailing list, if you have something that gets people to give you their email address or phone number, then you're looking and measuring the numbers of leads or direct messages with people approaching you with connection requests, if it's personal accounts that you're using to help people. And then you're looking at email stats, like the growth of your mailing list, the open rate of your emails, the click-through rate of your emails. And if you're measuring the conversion, then again, you might be looking, if you have a price guide, if you have service guides, how you work with us, what you use it in whichever way is more appropriate to your organization. Again, if you're selling actual services, or if you're offering certain support, or if you're only requesting people to volunteer, then what is the conversion? How many people have actually completed the intended action? If it's a demo or if it's a trial or it's a free consultation, whatever it is, how many people have actually then approached you and started working with you or interacted with you in any way. When it comes to numbers, it's important to remember that not everything will be visible in higher numbers. And when it comes to content marketing, social media marketing, the quality always needs to come over quantity, even in numbers of volume of messaging going out there, but also in terms of your result. So it's so important to really look at the story behind your numbers, to look at the quality of the direct messages, of the comments, of the interactions, of the relationships that you're building with people online and through your content, rather than simply following and wanting bigger numbers, more followers, more likes, more comments, no matter what they are. Quality is the best indicator of your brand awareness, of the health of your organization online. So when it comes to measuring, pay attention to the qualitative. Always have some testimonials, always have some lovely comments, always have some case studies. If you're reporting to your shareholders, if you're reporting to a board, if you need to show what you've been doing and how is social media content working for you, always include some qualitative kind of stories, quotes and testimonials and comments that actually show the quality of your interactions, of your relationships, of your accounts, rather than simply focusing on the numbers. And again, you can write your own goals here. You can play around with your goals over here in the slide deck after the training. So now we know roughly the framework of how to think about content, in which terms we think about the content. And then we want to have a look and consider the next, ideally 12 months, because 12 months is a year is a nice period to consider, because you can break it out into quarters and then you can look at individual months, and it always helps me to feel like I've got everything covered. Because you want to start with kind of the overview. You want to have a look and consider the seasons and national holidays and major events, because no matter what is your organization doing, Christmas, Easter, Valentine's Day, summer holidays, back to school, Halloween, all these things will somehow impact what your campaign will be about. So you want to know the big events, the seasons, spring, summer. There will be different content, there will be different messaging, there will be different events happening throughout the seasons. So you want to be aware what those are, if they're relevant, if there will be a campaign, if there's something that you can create around those. You can consider some important events like elections, political, sporting events that again might be relevant to you and your audience. That then also leads us to all the random awareness days, weeks, and months that are out there that can definitely inspire you, and some will be a lot more important than others. What I want to definitely highlight here is you don't want to just be jumping on any random awareness day trend, but you want to do your research and know that, yes, if LGBTQ issues are important to you and are core of your values and are something that your organization is dedicated, when the awareness month is, when the pride is, when certain big milestones are happening. If you, again, there are lots of awareness days, weeks, months out there for mental health, for physical health, for different kind of industries, for different kind of professions. So you want to be sure that you know that, and you can well ahead of the time plan your content, so you are not being surprised a day or two or even on the day to be like, oh, today is the National Suicide Prevention Day, for example. We haven't done anything about it, but it's a core topic for us. We should have. So you can find all these days, all this information on the internet. Just a quick search. Now I have two favorite places to go for these, for the awareness days. One is called Awareness Days, and another that is called Days of the Year. Two websites that collect all the random awareness days with hashtags, history, potentially some materials, links to the official pages, which is super helpful. So I'll send you those links. They will be with these slides. There are always a couple slides hidden in between, which you will in the PDF that I send you over see, which are clickable links to these pages, so you will get access to all of them. And then you can think more in terms of, we talk about the behavior, the interests of your people, of the community. So any new releases, are there TV shows, movies, books, research papers, anything that they might be interested in. It might help you connect on the human level. If there is a TV show that actually has a new series or is newly released or had been very popular and kind of gets the message across, is aligned with your values, and you know that the people who you're trying to reach would be interested in it, you can talk about it. You can show the human side of it. You can show how, in with a crowd in a way, that you understand what's happening in the world outside of business and outside of community and outside of charity, that actually just human beings have interests. And as I said, content and social media should be more about the entertainment, engagement, fun, and joy of life, with the ultimate obviously goal to achieve our goals. And then we're going more specific to think about your industry and your business, your organization, to look at conferences, exhibitions, anniversaries, milestones, important dates, new launches, partnerships, birthdays, all the kind of thing that's specifically your events, your things that are relevant to people. And you want to plot it all into your 12 months. I always like having a brand new calendar in front of me. I circle days, I circle months, I color code whatever to have. This is awareness, this is national, this is international, this is local, this is us specific, this is more fun. And really see, if there are particular months that will be super busy, I will have lots of content because there's lots of happening, like especially the mental health. There are specific parts of the year that will have a lot more intense campaigns going on. Also, might be the holiday season will be more specific for your organization, that you want more content because there will be challenges that people might be facing. And at the same time, you then might realize that certain months will be quieter, that there's nothing specific going on. So that's where you can start planning some of your content. You can start looking for maybe some of the awareness days. They're a little bit more niche or a little bit more quirky, or you can have a little bit more fun and experiment and test some ideas for future. One tool that I absolutely love is Content Cal. Obviously, there are lots of different tools, social media tools, scheduling tools, CRMs. But I found I have a long-lasting relationship and partnership with the guys at Content Cal. They're a lovely UK startup. And what I love about them is they're super friendly in terms of supporting small businesses and charities. And their tool actually has brilliant features that actually aid all we talked about. You can put your campaigns there, be it day or month or week. You can put topics, you can collaborate, you can put everything from, I start with pen and paper. That's how I process it. But then you can have everything in one place where the whole team can access it, where you can collaborate, and where immediately you can publish, you can go live, and you can see the results. So I know people often do ask me for recommendations. So I highly recommend Content Cal. If you have any questions, they do have a free version, so it's no cost whatsoever. If you ever need a higher level, they have reasonably priced packages. I do work with them, and we can either give you a free account if you reach out, if it's justified, or I can help you get a discount for the fee if that would be applicable. But the free version is usually all you need to get started with. If you have any other tools, use whatever works for you. And the next step is ideation, which, coming from the planning, you should have plenty of ideas already. You know how to Now you have the framework of emotions, you have the framework of customer journey, you have the framework of your overall year. And now the fun part comes to trying to put this matrix together. And I know that right now it might feel very overwhelming. And at the beginning, it might be a lot. But once you start putting together what your individual content themes and topics will be, and you start brainstorming certain topic ideas and post ideas, when you start creating it, that will start making so much more sense than just listening to me rambling about different approaches and different frameworks. The key is to really think about these 4 content buckets, and we've already seen them before. It's educational content, it's inspiring content, it's engaging and entertaining content, and it's kind of a convincing promotional sales content. So if you think about it in these terms, you can make sure that you are showcasing your expertise, that you are educating the people, you are answering their FAQs, but that you're also showing your personality, that you're asking them relevant questions, that you're engaging with them, that you are telling the story of your community, that you're showing some testimonials, and that you're using your product, if you have services, your offerings, your support, that you have some promotional, you have some call to actions included. It is balanced, more of the education and less of the promotion, but you need to have both in your content plan. What happens if you're stuck on ideas, which can sometimes happen, but as I said, if you have a framework like this, it's less likely to happen that you're stuck. But it still can happen that you open your laptop, you open your planning tool, and you're like, what am I talking about? What are we talking about today? What does our audience actually want to hear from us? The best thing you can do is to listen. Social media is a wonderful place where people are actually telling you what their problems are. They're telling you what they're struggling, and you can go and you can listen and you can answer their questions. You can really use what they are saying that they need helping with, that they are thinking about, and use that to then inform them and educate them and support them. There are specific places where you can do your research that will definitely help you with that. One of those tools is a website called Answer the Public, which brings real results from Google. And whatever keyword, whatever phrase you put in there, be it coffee, be it mental health, whatever phrase you put there, it will give you the most relevant questions that people have asked on Google. So with the search volume, similar tools to that is Keywords Everywhere, which is a Google Chrome extension plugin, where when you're on internet and you search for something, it will show you the volumes of how many people have searched for this, which indicates kind of the interest, the levels of interest of this. There are websites like Search Intent or even Google Suggestions. Whenever you put a keyword or phrase or website in there, it will tell you what are the most related, relevant questions that people have been asking and searching Google for. And for you, that's a brilliant place to start, because you can then look at these questions and answer them, use them as a springboard to create your content. And I always recommend having kind of a brain dump drawer, have a place where we have random thoughts, we have random ideas any day. You have meetings, you go for walks, there will be things you see on other people's channels. So I take screenshots of other people's posts, I bookmark other people's posts, I have my phone full of random voice notes or random pieces of content, which every now and then I sit down, I collect into a folder. And when I'm stuck on ideas, I'm like, okay, there was something about that I really wanted to do. I look in my brain dump drawer, and there's always something that I can then repurpose, I can bring to life, I can try to implement for myself. And then that helps with those kind of low inspiration days when maybe there isn't a massive awareness day, maybe there isn't a massive campaign, maybe it is one of those quieter months when you're like, not much is actually happening. We don't have any hour events. There are no other events happening in the world. So we will use some of these inspirations that we've collected along the way to really refresh our content and again, bring more value to our community, to our audience. And again, you can use this to plan your educational content, to plan your what kind of entertaining and engaging content you can create, what you will use to inspire and convince people. And then we're coming pretty much to the end, which is the creation. And the advice here is just do it. No matter what it is. And we talked earlier that you should do what really plays into your strengths and what you enjoy doing. And the thing is that, yes, you might still feel a little uncomfortable doing some of these things. It might still be new and it might be a little scary. But the content that you put out there, be it video, be it podcast, be it interview, be it event, things that you do and you share will always bring you better results than the ones that you don't share. And perfection is a fairy tale. We can always improve and be better and aim for having better copywriting skills, another level of proofreading, better designer, more video editing, better camera equipment. So many things we can always wait to be better. But if you don't start now, if you don't put anything out there, you will never be able to improve and you will never be able to get any of the results. And you simply want to figure out the process that works best for you. Some people prefer to do it on a regular basis and have 10, 15 minutes each day dedicated to content creation, to social media planning. Some people prefer to have 1 day a week or 1 day a month dedicated to planning and scheduling and creation, everything. And then for the rest of the month, rest of the week, just have a minute here and there to keep an eye on the engagement, keep an eye on messages. Both, you can have a mixture of both. So obviously, some content will be more in the spur of the moment, which is why I quite like the planning and batch preparation of content, where the like 80% of my content can be ready, but then I can be more in the moment, watching what other people are saying, watching what's happening on the socials and interacting with it and going with the flow. Some people are a lot more comfortable with just doing it regularly and having every day this process of have a look, come up with something, post it. And there isn't better one or the other. Do what works for you. And again, break it down. You can have, okay, this quarter, this is what the quarterly theme will be. This is what the month 1, month 2, month 3 will look like. This is what the key milestones, events are happening. This is the campaigns, and this is how we can work with it. And you can then, use a monthly calendar to really pick whichever days you will be creating something. A short word on frequency. As I said, quality over quantity, and that definitely goes even for frequency. You don't need to be ridiculously active. You will occasionally see brands promoting that you need to be posting 5 times a day, that the best time to post is X, Y, and Z. The point is that you want to do as much as you realistically can, consistently deliver quality. And if that means that you will post twice a week, that's plenty and that's enough. You don't need to be posting every single day. You don't need to be posting 5 times a day. Yes, it depends slightly on each social media channel, where Twitter is a little bit more fast-paced, and Instagram with stories is definitely demanding on a daily basis. But places like LinkedIn or even Instagram, the grid, once or twice a week, having something meaningful, valuable, it's plenty. So you really want to then have a look at the calendar and be like, our consistency is 1 post a week, 2 posts a week, 3 posts a week, whatever it is, because we know that we can deliver this on a consistent basis throughout the year and have quality, interesting posts going out every single time. You don't want to be posting just for the sake of posting. You don't want to be sharing content just because there needs to be some new content going out. Sharing content that's not the best quality, sharing content that's, again, perfection. It's an interesting balance to nail, trying to be perfect. But in terms of really adding value, making the content about your community, about your people, thinking about what's in it for them, that kind of content, thinking about how realistically, consistently you can provide this kind of content to them. And then you're thinking, okay, how are we promoting and repurposing this content? Because one thing is to create a blog post, create a new ebook, create a piece of video, training, interview, but you want to make sure that you have a promotion, repurposing process that goes not only to like, yes, we will tweet about it once, we'll put a one post about our new blog post or training on our social media, but how are you going to really get the most out of every single piece of content that you create, so you are saving yourself time in the long term, that you are getting the most with the least effort put in. And there are many ways that you can take one piece of content and make lots of it. So for example, if you create a new blog post that's how to do something, you can obviously then use it in your email campaign as well. You can add it to your monthly newsletter, quarterly newsletter, whatever frequency. But you can also create a new post email that goes immediately, just says, it's very short, to the point, we have a new post, go and read it if you want. You can then use it on social media in many different ways, whichever platforms you're active on. Facebook, Instagram are just two examples. You can use it as a page update, and if you have a group or if you're a member of multiple groups, you can then go into individual groups and be like, we have this new meaningful resource, go ahead and have a look. You can on Instagram put it into the grid, like create a unique post. You can put it into stories. Obviously now on Instagram you have also reels, and you have IGTV, and you have guides, so there's lots of different ways you can repurpose one piece of content and do a lot more with it. You can see that I've also linked that the monthly newsletter can be promoted in stories, which the same can happen with monthly newsletter going to a group. So there's very exciting but also complex way of how you can repurpose each piece of content into as much as possible to get the most reach and the most engagement going on. And there are just a couple of closing tips on what other kind of badass type of content you can really be playing around with. Quotes that are actually meaningful and that are something that are aligned with your values, with your mission, vision, with your purpose are always a great idea for social media, for the inspiration. Also, if there is a new research, if there is a new paper, there are certain stats, just some facts that people do love seeing these things that quite increase the engagement quite a bit. At the same time, you want to be showing some of your personality. So you might want to use some GIFs or some memes or some graphics to showcase your personality and showcase, again, that certain TV shows, certain pop culture references are not lost on you, that you are human beings who can have fun. You can play around with video and animation. They're absolutely super engaging. But as I said, if that's something that you don't have the skill set yet and you don't feel comfortable, then don't feel forced to do that. You can create lists and checklists and kind of highlight points, pros and cons, and weaknesses and strengths. You can create lots of different kind of lists. People love top 10, top 5, how to do this. You can have quick tips. So from every blog post or everything, you can always pick some like very quick advice. And you can create something that's a little bit more thorough, like a template or a case study or a cheat sheet or something that people can download, they can work through, they can print it on their wall, they can interact with it, they can implement it into their life. That will then help them along the way. There's a lot more that we could cover, but I think I've given you plenty to think about. I hopefully haven't overwhelmed you way too much. There is just a summary of what we talked about today, the 7 steps. Obviously, you can go as you go from 1 to 7, or you can pick whichever one really feels like will be the most helpful, and you can start there. And that's it from me. Thank you so much for your attention.